Alright, I'm MC Rome Z, and originally from the Bronx. You gotta understand, the Bronx gave birth to hip hop, and I don't even think that's a disputable fact. You know, I grew up around guys like Kool Herc, Clark Kent. They had a sound system called the Herculoids that was incredible, and we would be out in 82 Park, Arthur Park. So it was really a time when hip hop was really coming into its own. It was a whole culture that was evolving out of that music. You know, we had dance, we had dress, we had artwork, we had a whole lot of different things that ultimately culminated into a culture of hip hop. And the Bronx gave birth to it, you know, and it was a very good time for us, you know, being young guys growing up in the Bronx and being a part of that kind of music, an emergence of something that we see now on television. But we had a very bird's eye view of it. You know, we were a part of it. You know, we would go to the parks. They would have jams. That's what we call them. They would be jamming in 82 Park. They would be jamming in Arthur Park, Cedar Park. They would be jamming in all these places. And wherever you were in the Bronx, you would make your way there. You know, I'm sorry, you had the Herculoids, you had AJ, you had Flash, you had the Cold Crush Brothers. So all of these dudes paved the way, and you had a front row seat. You didn't have to pay to get in. They'd be out in the park. It'd be free, accessible to everybody. And we rocked. You know, cops would come shut it down at times. But for the most part, it was a time when people could really kind of get together and just hang out, listen to some good music, and see guys now, right, that, you know, we talk about as these old timers, OGs, but for us, they were just the cutting edge of everything. So it was real hot back then. As I got more involved with it, starting to rap myself, everybody wanted to be a rapper or a DJ at some point, you know. But when I started to get involved with it, it was with my cousins, and but shortly right after that, they moved to Mount Vernon, Pearsall Drive, somewhere around there. I don't even remember. But I would go up there, and we would practice. We had like just little turntables and stuff like that. Back then, they had techniques and crossfaders and all of that stuff. We didn't really have all of that. We had just some rinky-dink equipment. We had a Gemini mixer, I think it was called, and we would start rapping. And then I heard about other guys up in Mount Vernon and Westchester, New Rock, Collins Brothers. These guys were playing music out there, and somehow I got introduced to the Collins Brothers. And from there, it was kind of like the beginning of our history. You know, I got introduced to them. The Collins Brothers already had a crew of guys out there. They had Slice, they had Wayne Will, Papa Do Jam, King J. So it was a number of guys out there. But I had a different style, right, because I was coming from downtown. So my style was a little different, so that made me a little different, and it kind of put me in a position where people were noticing me. Then I think the next person to really kind of evolve out of that was Slice. You know, he was a prolific writer, still is. That's my dude. He was a prolific writer, and we kind of formed the core group. All these other guys kept falling off, and the other guys, Wayne Will and Papa Do, they were from downtown too, but they had a different style. They had a Westchester kind of style of rapping that was not really what we were doing. So that made us kind of different and stand out. I think it was at the Boys Club, and I think New Rock was playing at the Boys Club, and my cousins, Mike and Elliot, they knew Mark and Jay, who are the Collins Brothers, and they said, hey, look, you know, we got this guy, we from downtown, and, you know, want you to hear him. So that's how I remember it. But, you know, from that way, you know, we got the introduction, and then I said, you know, I got on the mic that day up in the Boys Club, and it was different. You know, it was a different style. There was a different cadence to the way that we rapped downtown than the way they were doing it uptown. So they were still coming up, and we were already in that flow already. So it was different. And that was the introduction. All of those, like upper New York kind of places, we went to Greenburgh, I believe, Rochester, New Rochelle, Yonkers. So all around that Westchester areas, that's where we went. Whenever, you know, we started to kind of get a name for ourselves because we did have a different style. We did have a different sound. You know, the way that we presented ourselves, we have routines, things that we did together as a group. They weren't really doing that at that point. You know, we kind of introduced all of that as another art form, another part of hip hop that they weren't doing. You know, really it was just guys kind of getting on the mic and saying whatever rhymes they made up. Where we came in and had a little harmony, added some introductions, you know, things like that. One guy introducing the next guy. So that was different for them. You know, I have to admit though, they were doing that already downtown. They were doing that in the Bronx. They were doing that in Manhattan. So, but we kind of brought it uptown and added our own flavor to it. So we went through Westchester. You have to go back to guys that weren't really making like records. You know, you would have to go back to the Cold Crush Brothers. You would have to go back to the Funky 4 Plus One More, Keith, Melly Mel, the Furious Five. You would have to go back to those guys to really talk about what inspired people that like me. You know, those guys are phenomenal. They told stories. They were storytellers. It made sense. It flowed one right into the other. They weren't talking about murdering and killing. They were talking about partying, having fun. Individually, I wrote my own rhymes. I kind of thought about the things that I was experiencing, what I was going through, what I liked, disliked, and that's how I came up with stuff. I wanted to be a storyteller as well, so I told stories that way. But as a group, I think we did a lot more collaboration. Slice and I did a lot more collaboration, and we wrote parts for other group members, you know. But again, Slice was pretty much the most, out of all of us, the most prolific writer. Still is. You know, so, the Collins Brothers was able to introduce a style of hip-hop that was more true to what we were doing, to where it originated from. They were, in terms of kind of moving the music around, they were going from place to place, and I think that's what really kind of made the Collins Brothers as known as they were, because they were taking it not here, they were introducing hip-hop the way it was, different places. So if it was up in Rochester, or if it was in New Rochelle, you know, we were introducing something that they hadn't seen before, and I think that's what they had that kind of impact. So if you want to say, you know, in terms of people being originators, no, Collins Brothers didn't originate hip hop, but they originated the style of it that they didn't have in Westchester at that particular time. They brought it up there. They definitely did. The Collins Brothers, their uncle was affiliated with the Manhattans. So there was opportunity for us to do it. I just don't know why we never did do it. You know, we weren't really looking. We were having fun. It was about fun for us. It was about, you know, just getting up there, showing your talent, showing your skills. The rap part of it, the money, the record part of it, that was something that we didn't have a lot of experience with. We didn't have many people in our circle to help us to get to that next level, and we weren't really thinking about it that much. So, you know, as long as we were going to these places, having fun, and being able to showcase our talents, and people knew us, we were kind of cool with that. I hope that they remember that, you know, we were a bunch of young guys who were really inspired by a culture that originated with urban youth in the Bronx. We understood it, we felt it, we tried to communicate it to anybody who would listen to us, and we had fun doing it, and we did it purely and solely just on the premise of it being, you know, our culture, something that we had really had a significant role in implementing and cultivating up in Westchester. So if they want to remember us as anything, I hope they remember that we brought a style up there that was still really true to the art form, and we had fun doing it. We loved it. You know, it wasn't about anything other than just having fun and being able to express ourselves through our music.